Hello there! Happy holidays! Merry Christmas! All that stuff. I don't have a Christmas tree anywhere. I got a little bitty one. Let's see if this one will work. Yeah? There we go. There we go. There's the Christmas tree. Don't ever accuse me of not having a sense of humor, because I do have a sense of humor. Yeah. I don't think I could do the whole video with this Christmas tree on my forehead. I don't think it possible. Let's take it off there. That was industrial duct tape. It's kind of hard to get off. There we go. Feliz Navidad. S Novым Годом, as they say in Russia. Yeah, Happy New Year. I'll see if you get visited by Ded Moroz. That's the Russian version of Santa Claus. Yeah. I love quality stuff. I've got a few pair of these, but I only ever use one pair. They're made in the USA, and I sharpened them at least 100 times for cutting out leather. You know, when you cut out really tough leather, your scissors get pretty dull. I love quality stuff that you only have to buy one of, as long as you take care of it. However, I broke this last week. It's a sharpening rod for sharpening knives and my scissors on, and since it's ceramic, you drop it on the floor, it's going to break. Thankfully, they got them on Amazon for like $6. To get quickly into what people want in life, make a couple statements of things that I've encountered. I used to debate a lot on various online boards. It actually helps, just like this sharpening rod, to sharpen your brain. Sometimes you'll actually get vectors of conflict when you're debating something from an unknown source, or I never thought about that. That's kind of the analogy I made of those cheap cosplay swords, which I've never been to a cosplay convention. Okay, never, and I never want to go. It looks really nice, but it's meant to hang on the wall. If you ever had to use it, it would like break into a million pieces instantly. And the same is true of debate. You have to sharpen the edge of your mind in debate, and that's really the only reason I did it. It wasn't about any type of power play over anybody, but I found out, now that I'm 52 years old, that people, and Mark Twain said that people that read the news are misinformed, people that don't read it are uninformed, which is kind of hilarious but incredibly true. That I've found that people are either uninformed or misinformed. I have the people that went to college, and I went to college, and they'll point out the people that, they maybe dropped out after elementary school, and they may or may not be able to read, but they know the way the world kind of works. But they think they're so smart, because they went to college and they do or don't have a degree. And these people are misinformed. I've debated the very, very best of academia on various topics like field theory, ancient metaphysics, translations, specifically in some key areas that I'm #1 in the whole world, and that is not an egotistical statement. It's a statement of fact. I've debated the very best out there on certain topics like anatta, its meaning, its context, how it's used, why it's used. Debated the very, very best, and it's like, well, who peer-reviewed your stuff? And it's like, well, it doesn't work that way. Either something stands on its own or it doesn't. Something's either fundamentally right or, it's ultimately wrong. This is something you should be aware of in life also, and I'm getting to the main crux of this video here very quickly, is that if you block people from debating it, which is what happens when you go on to discussion forums, which, unfortunately, all of them, and I've been in a lot of them, are really, really horrible places, then your position is either dogma or mere beliefs or lies or indoctrination. It's like, I spent years studying this, how dare you tell me I'm wrong? It's like, well, you're wrong because, factually, boom, 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 boom. Last video I made about CTMU, it wasn't excessive, and I'm very, very used to it over decades. People coming after me, but I read quotes from the book, and I said, this is wrong because boom, boom, boom. And every time, and this is invariable because I read every comment, when someone goes after you, but they don't give you any evidences for why you're wrong, or, well, you're wrong because fact, 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 you know. If you make a claim, you have to back it up with substantiation. So this is very, very problematic, and it's actually getting worse, where people will say something, but they've not actually said anything. They'll say, "We don't agree with you, you're wrong," and, you know, rah, 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 but they've said nothing. And since I read every comment, you know, I always know how people respond. You know, sometimes it's surprising, but very rarely, because I've been doing it for decades. But I just want you to be aware of stuff like that. And, you know, if one of the rarest things in the whole world is to be a truth seeker, and I pointed this out, and it's undeniable, is that if you're proven right, you know you're on the right path. And if you're proven wrong, then you're corrected and you're set in the direction of the right path, or the right destination. And that's good. So if you're proven right or you're proven wrong, the end result is good for you. There's nobody in college that taught you that, or high school or elementary school, but that's so incredibly important. I'm going to talk about here very quickly what people want. And of course everybody thinks they know what people want. And human beings, unfortunately, are full of desires and fears and ignorances and beliefs, and they think they are their beliefs, and I've kind of talked about that endlessly. An observation, some observations which are so profound, they've been right under your nose the whole time. And I like your feedback on this, because I read every comment. I do. I think that's important. If someone leaves a comment, and you know, people that make YouTube videos, they don't read the comments, and the person that's leaving the comment is wasting their breath, and they're hoping the video maker's reading it. So I consider it an affront and extremely rude for a video maker not to read every comment. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad or abusive or congratulatory, you should read every comment. Some people get afraid to, people that make YouTube videos, because they're afraid of getting negative feedback. Well, if it's deserved, you should read it. This is what a true truth seeker is supposed to be about. I like your feedback on this one, is that these self-destructive, there's a comment from my buddy, self-destructive ideologies, really like 95 or higher %, only exist in urban areas. I don't know if you've ever thought about that before, and this has nothing to do with politics. However, the people that elect those people are reflective of the people that put them in those positions, and I don't care about politics, but these self-destructive ideologies, you know, by and large, and this means 95+%, only exist in urban areas, and we have to ask ourselves what these urban areas, you know, generate. What they generate, kind of like somebody living in their basement playing video games, is isolation from truth, isolation from common sense, isolation from natural order. Farmer John that has a wife and 2 kids and, you know, has to get his hands dirty every day, he doesn't have the luxury of ever being isolated from common sense or truth or natural order, because his crops will fail and he'll go bankrupt and he'll lose his farm and, you know, he'll be destitute. So he doesn't have that luxury. What urban areas, and once again, it's not about any sort of position left or right, okay? I don't care about that stuff. I hilariously call these types of ideologies, and the people that embrace them, flatulent sniffers. They're living in a nutshell of fantasy, and they're completely out of touch with reality. You know, they create kind of like an avatar. They create an avatar of what they would like to be. And of course, most people, even people that are rich and beautiful, you know, are miserable. It's like, how could they be so miserable and be rich and beautiful? I mean, they got 20 Lamborghinis and a mansion, and they're beautiful. You know, what do they got to be miserable about? These people are out of touch with reality, and they don't, whatever they are, and of course the ancient saying is, and it's very true and undeniable, is that the self is at conflict with whatever is not the self. In other words, the psychophysical self is at conflict with the spiritual self. It would be analogous to saying the signal is in full conflict with the radio. And this is timeless, and it's actually a part of deeper metaphysics. But people manifest this in urban areas because they have the luxury of being able to create these fantasy nutshells for themselves. These people are typified by the fact that they can't fix anything, they can't build anything, they can't do anything themselves. I mean, they flap their lips a lot. And they're literally the people that are the opposite of action. And the people that aggrandize themselves as being, and they put themselves in positions of power. But if you ever shine a light on them, they're kind of like the house in Florida where you get up in the morning or whatever. And I was at somebody's house in a certain area of South Florida, and the whole place was crawling with the gigantic bugs. Crawling. I mean, it was scary. Man, it takes a lot to spook me. I mean, this place, this condo, and it was not a bad condo. It was just crawling with these. I mean, I could have fixed that almost overnight with a $3 thing of borax powder. You know, it's like, a $3 can of borax powder would fix this problem, but they didn't do that. I mean, that place was just scary, and so these people are like that. I just wondered if you've ever considered that, and it's so blatantly obvious. Everybody, people with any common sense at all, they kind of, shake their fist at, he's like, how could these people think this? And I'm not taking their side, but we have to look at what is it at the root of causation of that. And I'm getting very, very quickly here to what people want. This is not a diversion, this all leads into that. These people are isolated from truth and common sense. They are living in a fantasy. That's the reason why I call them flatulent sniffers. They're out of touch with the way the world actually works. This is the reason why I said a few weeks ago that nobody could run for political office or be president unless they served in the special forces. And some people in the comments say, why would that be the case? Why does somebody had to have served in special forces? I was watching, it's a great movie. I'm surprised I've never seen it before, and I'm not really a movie watcher. It's called 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi. It's a movie. You should see it. It's a great movie. The truth behind that whole thing that happened there. And you've got the one head, and it was a CIA mission compound. And the head of it is totally out of touch with reality. And you have these Navy SEAL and Delta Force and special operators. They knew the way the world worked. They kept, the guy was a fool. You just kept giving him commands which were illogical and nonsensical. But these guys were in touch. They knew what was going on. I mean, their senses were attuned to what they should do, what they shouldn't do, the actions they should take, and the actions they shouldn't take. The reason why I've said that people like Navy SEALs or Delta Force or some Marine that had served, they're in touch. They're not people that are isolated from reality, by and large. I mean, like 99% of them. The one word in what humans want is the two words, and there's really some more, but more and power. You got one of something that's going to last you for the rest of your life, and I want more. I really, really like this. That means I need to have two of them. The one thing that's shocking, and I never hear anybody talk about this ever in my life, except for myself, maybe somebody has, is that people that are in deep desire for something they either want or need, once they got it, they're now more worried about it than before they had it, because now they're worried about somebody stealing it getting wrecked or broken, like a luxury car. I've seen people that, are not wealthy, they have a luxury car, they're worried about the insurance, which is real expensive for it, somebody scratching it, wrecking it, vehicle breakdown. It's like you're way more concerned now that you have it than you did before you got it. And also, too, the idea of power. Every person that's ever desired power has never had any power over themselves. So they want power over other people and things, but they don't even have control of themselves. And they don't even know. These are people for which there is no degree of separation. There's no spiritual polarization, as in the case of a wise person. There's a reason why every wise person in Scripture is at conflict with themselves. They literally have two different people there. One is at conflict with the other, the spiritual person and the psychophysical person, which has to eat and breathe and shower and all the other horrible things. As Jerry Seinfeld once said, if your body were a car, you would never, ever, ever buy it because it takes so much insane amount of upkeep and maintenance. It's just, you would never, there would be no car that would anybody want would be like your body. Doesn't matter if you're in perfect health and young, it's just way too much upkeep. And one of the, not that I'm a huge fan of Jerry Seinfeld, however, I've seen every episode. That's a wise philosophical statement of comedians. Sometimes they actually hit a mark, like a broken clock is right twice a day, of course. This is what Nikola Tesla meant by people that could think clearly, deeply but not clearly, because places where people are mentally disturbed are full of a lot of deep thinkers, but the reason why they're there is because they can't think clearly. All these boards that have been kicked off of all of them, the expert on a few topics where I've been kicked off is discussing the soul and original Buddhism. Of course, the term Buddhism didn't exist until the 16th century. But you got to stay away from these places. These people are so in love with their beliefs. They're the opposite of truth seekers. The wiser you become, the more you'll realize that the rarest thing on earth, not just wisdom, is a truth seeker. I just wish people would realize, and before getting into what people want in life, and there's all sorts of things that people want, but it's all boiled down to desires, fears, anxieties, and trepidations, and these, of course, are disturbances or frequencies of self. This is the distinction between light and illumination. Light is the principle, that would be the transcendent self, and illumination, of course, is a reference to a wavelength or a frequency. That is what illumination is by definition. This is what the meaning of avidya is. It doesn't mean ignorance. It means desire, objectivity, that which is directed. Fundamentally, human beings, psychophysical beings, as far as the psychophysical self, only needs food, clothing, shelter for mental continuity. We need, of course, family and continuance of family. That's something in which I have failed utterly at. You know, I have no wife or kids. I wished I had kids, but I don't. As a truth seeker, I have to admit my failures and faults. I don't have any children. Continuance of family. People neglect purpose. A lot of people are aimless. They just work really hard and they go home and crash and they repeat it. And then their entire life has slipped by. And people get really, really bitter over that. And I know why people do. I mean, I know why. I mean, I feel like I'm in that quite often myself. I work 7 days a week. Believe it or not, I do. So having purpose is incredibly important. It's like, what have I done? I've worked a dead-end job. I'm referring to your common person. You know, my life is gone. Now that I have like 4 or 5 years of my life left, it might even be like a month or two of my life left, and the average person's like, you know, now I'm too broken down to do anything. I feel like I've been run through the mill of the system of life, and I've not given my life any purpose. I never wanted my life to be that way. I try to give it as much purpose as possible. I'm always learning and expanding my understanding, but for my age, even 30 years ago, at my age 30 years ago, it was way, way better than most people, but that required sacrifice. So I could have had both a family and continuance with children and what I know and understand, but it would have been difficult. Everything, of course, is a trade-off. Skills also, too, being happy and having some sort of worldly peace. By the way, this is something that I know I actually have an address for that on a donation. People will say, well, you're a hypocrite. It's like, no, I'm not. I immediately get rid of it if I ever get any, which I almost never get any. I wanted to talk for a second about digital, I call it poo coin. Some people call it trash coin. This is really bad news. AI was asked about trash coin. I like to call it poo coin. It said, AI said that it could be cracked, and I quote here, the encryption in a matter of minutes to hours. PooCoin, by the way, uses SHA-256 for its encryption. I don't know if you know who invented SHA-256 encryption, but this neat little agency in Virginia called the NSA. Trash coin, or PooCoin as I like to call it, is a Trojan horse created by the CIA or the NSA to get us used to using digital poo coins. It's absolutely brilliant. It's a brilliant Trojan horse, Trojan horse, excuse me. And most people are used to it now, so the transitioning over to CBDC will be incredibly easy. I keep pointing out to people it requires electricity for it to work, a network for it to work, internet for it to work, and Charlie Munger, the genius investor, who also said it requires a pack of fools to believe in it, like a religious system, for it to work. So it requires those four things. It's not money or currency. It currently is in its own way, but it's a Trojan horse. You could argue with me about that all you want, but what I just said about it is accurate. Money is not currency. A lot of us, most people, spend their lives chasing currency or chasing money. You know, the one thing I want most right now, and I say want, not need, but I actually do need it, is to take a vacation. I mean, I have a little bit saved up for a vacation, but you know, I'm trying to take a vacation and get away. The older you get, the more you worry about time. And worry is not really the right word, but money is not currency. I hate to say this, but the ultimate currency is always force, always has been force, and it always will be force. The only reason, especially for older people, that people want money or need it, not just to pay the bills and buy the groceries, is to purchase themselves some more time. And time is the money of life. Younger people don't see that. The older people do see that. The older you get, by the way, if you ever want to know why older people are crotchetier or grumpier, is that the older you get, the more you realize how valuable time is, and that you're unwilling to be, you know, jerked around by losers and or fools. And I am that way. I mean, I've had so much of that done in my life. I mean, I won't even put up with another second of it. I mean, I don't care if it makes me destitute. I won't be jerked around by people. People are like, you know, I'd like to rob X, and why don't you come do a podcast with me? I get those all the time. It's like, no, why not? Well, you know, I'm trying to save up for a vacation. Does it pay anything? You know, I love doing stuff like that, but I'm older now, and since I work 7 days a week, why don't you want to do a podcast? We'll have a lot of fun. You know, that sounds nice, but it doesn't pay the bills, and right now I'm trying to, you know, work for myself to, you know, like take 7 to 10 days off. You know, just shut down. And people don't get that. They just, there's a lot of time or energy vampires out there, and the older you get, the more you realize that. This is the reason why older people are grumpy and crotchety. Like, they know they don't have that much time left, and they're not willing, and I'm the same way, willing to be jerked around by fools, not to suffer the fools. Right now, I see so many miserable people, and it just keeps getting worse. I hope it gets better soon. Everybody is subject to the mind control programs, whether they know it or not, of media, of public school systems and their indoctrination, of the news, which is not news at all. Social media is really bad. You have people doom scrolling, isn't that what they call it? Doom scrolling. You have young people that are like looking at people that aren't even real. Some of them are real. You know, they have beauty filters like, oh God, I'm so envious, I wished I was that pretty. You know, people doom scrolling and just making themselves miserable. You know, I grew up in the days before the internet and cell phones, and people were not like that. Now that we have all these technologies and gadgets at our fingertips, said the fat bald guy with an iPad in front of him next to this computer and that computer, and I got a computer over there. You know, these are just portals meant for communication and to better your lives, not to make your lives more miserable. I wish more people would actually wake up and realize that the government is your employee. The government is supposed to work for you. Why don't I hear more people say, hey, talking to a bureaucrat, say, you know, you work for me, I don't work for you. We are unfortunately living in the age of inverted truths. I know I'm fat and out of shape, but I don't eat trash. We're eating processed trash, and I just see people that are so miserable. I don't like seeing people like that. I do more live streams now than ever, and usually I make like $10 on a live stream, and considering I'm usually there for over 2 hours, I'm not doing it for the money. The live streams I do are never monetized, and after the live streams are over, I delete them So I'm not doing it for the money, but I do love reaching out to people and hearing from people and talking and communicating and trying to help people. So it's not for the money. I lead a simple life. I'm proud of that fact. I have skills and understandings, but I had to sacrifice things in life. The things that you take for granted, I don't take for granted. You know, I have no brothers or sisters or a wife, or I did have a wife. She died of a giant brain tumor, but I don't have any children, but I like to keep my life simple. If you actually wake up every day, this sounds really stupid until you do it. If you wake up every day and you think of 2 or 3 things that you're thankful for, your day will be a whole lot happier. A lot of people just, they're so busy worrying about the next bill and the next thing they want, but they tell themselves that they need, but they don't need. Well, I've already got 2 of those, but I want another one. How many people out there are like that? I think we all kind of suffer that to a certain extent. I try not to. And you need to recognize your desires and separate out your needs from your wants. You know, is this going to make my life better in any way? You know, food, clothing, shelter, family, and continuance of family, having purpose and having skills, having a community, you know, where you can mutually support each other. Communities don't exist anymore, you know, in case you don't realize that. You know, the online community, that's all well and fine, but actually personal communities that you actually meet with or go walk in the park with is actually incredibly important. And people don't do stuff like that anymore. By and large, they don't anyway. I wished it weren't the case. I hope everybody actually has a happy holiday. I love making helpful videos, sometimes about extremely abstruse topics that people don't understand necessarily. If you ever like these videos, you can contact me via the email in the description. Any donation is always very warmly welcome. If you feel like I've made your life even, you know, a microscopic 1/10% happier or better, or have a deeper understanding of some of these deep topics that I talk about, and I only like to talk about stuff other people aren't talking about really, then I appreciate that. And I love meeting you in live streams. Like I said, they're never monetized. And there have been countless, thousands literally over the years, live streams that I never even got a $1 donation. I've never ever asked for a donation in live stream. I go there to communicate with people, so, you know, I sacrifice always 2+ hours usually, unless I'm sick, in live stream, you know, just to communicate with you, you know. But I hope we all realize our needs and our wants, and we realize the things that make our lives happier and better. Because, you know, leading a life of misery and envy and desire and, you know, envious desire over things that we don't need or are not going to make our lives better is a fool's errand, and everybody's pretty much guilty of that, unfortunately. But that's the nature of existential existence. If everybody lived to be 200 years old and didn't have to work and had free houses and free food, everything was free, there'd still be an enormous amount of miserable people. It's just because it's the nature of existence. Thank you so much for watching. Happy holidays to you. Catch you soon. I'll catch you in live stream. Okay?